Does it ever feel like eerie, like looking into the eyes while you're working on it?
I want it to. If I can get that, then I'm getting real. If it don't do anything, then I ain't there.
In the taxidermy industry, this is the show.
It's the cream of the crop, best of the best. Olympics, the Olympics of taxidermy, that's the easiest way to explain it to a layperson. And it's only held every 2 years in the United States. If you're a taxidermist and you want to compete against the best taxidermists in the world, you simply bring your best work and put it up against a judging panel of the best judges in the world.
At the World Taxidermy Championships for the last, I want to say probably 20 years, I've been judging. And I did have a desire to compete again. Last year I competed with an artificial gorilla, a gorilla recreation, and he was a very famous gorilla that died at the Milwaukee Zoo, and his name was Samson. I thought, okay, I probably have a pretty good shot at best in the world recreation. That's probably as far as I was hoping I could do. When we're sitting at the awards banquet and I won basically competitor's choice or people's choice, and that was like, oh my God, this is just the icing on the cake. And then I won best in the world. It was like, oh wow, this is just, you know, beyond my wildest dreams. And when they announced best of show, everybody laughed because of my reaction at the table. I was like, no way. I think I said that 5 times, no way. I'm judging all these people that don't really know who I am because I have been out of the actual competing for quite a while, and I need to see if I can still run with the big dogs. And, you know, obviously was able to make a comeback.
I wanted to do something North American to mess the judges up so they wouldn't think it was mine, because everybody knows I do so much African, but it's kind of hard to hide the style. Once you show up with that stuff, they know who it is. All the big names in the business all came up to me and they would just shake their head as they would walk up to me and say, only you would do this. Only you would bring something this complex, this big, this shock and awe, this, you know, this type of mount here to show this. Most of the pieces that I create come a little bit under what I wanted them to. This is the first piece that I smiled about because it actually became a little bit better than I thought it would be.
People are fascinated when they find out that I'm a woman, I'm a taxidermist, and I'm a museum taxidermist. Those are all, you know, that's just very, those are like icebreakers. I can talk to anybody when they find that out. They're like, what? I started doing taxidermy when I was 12 years old. I started with the Northwestern School of Taxidermy correspondence course by mail. When you're 12 years old and you get your lesson plan in the mail, you can hardly even understand the terminology that's used, much less really come up with a satisfactory product.
41 years ago, I bought a taxidermy pamphlet out of the back of a sporting goods magazine. Nobody in my family had any interest in taxidermy whatsoever. I've got older brother, younger sister. I'm the weird middle kid. My father basically quit hunting when I got to about an age where I could hunt, and I would just pheasant hunt with my grandfather. No deer hunting, no big game hunting, never traveled to hunt. And so where I got all this, I have no clue. It got me in with the older kids in the neighborhood. They just thought it was cool and wanted to see it when it was all done. They didn't want to hang around me whenever I was gutting it open and had blood and guts everywhere. And it looked pretty bad when you're 10 years old, but you don't know any better at that point. My first mounts were 2 pigeons. Both those pigeon mounts stayed on my grandfather's headboard of his bed till 1995. He thought they were the greatest there ever was. So I was doing taxidermy out of my home and part-time, and during high school, when I got out of high school, I was working a print job and got laid off. My grandfather gave me the money to buy out a taxidermy business and go into business. This is a hard business to get into and a struggle business to get going, especially back then. So without family support, you're never gonna make it.
I actually met Gary, who was my husband, through taxidermy. When I was 15, I started working for a local taxidermist, and we, kind of evolved into being together all the time and romance and all that stuff. He was the one who actually really pushed me to apply for the job here. He said, "You really have what it takes." I thought, come on, I'm just a high school kid. What do I know about this? The application process took 1.5 years. I had to bring in a lot of artwork and taxidermy and paintings and sculptures and sketches, photographs, all wildlife related. They finally offered me the job. And I started when I was 19, and I have been here my entire career. Usually my job title I go under is Milwaukee Public Museum taxidermist / artist. All of the other taxidermists that I know that are in museums are the same. They report both, to the art side and to the scientific side.
I would like to get rid of the word taxidermy because it will never, ever leave the stereotype. Wildlife artist is what we are. It has gone from dead animals hanging on the wall that look dead to full-blown art sculptures that can compete with the greatest flat artists and the greatest sculptors in the world. I can put my work right next to anybody who calls themselves an artist in the world. An artist uses clay to sculpt. He uses paint to paint. He can use steel to weld. I use all those same mediums. The only problem is different is I use an animal's skin. I want to be accepted in the art world for what we are. I have been in the business for 40 years. After a 40-year period of time, you either get complacent or you get burned out. And I got to that point because everything was static. Everything is a mounted dead animal. I mean, take it for what it's worth. It was a live animal, now it's dead. And so we mount it, but we mount it static, standing there, sitting there. We're trying to recreate nature. We can look at our human faces, we can look at dog faces, we can look at all kinds of animals that we interact with every day, and we can see a personality, we can see something in their face. Then we can actually put personality, expression, drama, action into just the face of an animal and bring that about.
You have to know how to bring the life back. It's to capture Samson's expression and essence, as I always say, required really looking at him very carefully and seeing what made him different from other gorillas. He had to look like a specific gorilla that everybody in Milwaukee knew. People didn't go to the zoo, they went to see Samson. What was cool about Samson is he really knew how to interact and play with the public. He always had this stern look about you, always looked at you like that out of the corner of his eyes with his arms crossed like that usually. And when he felt like it, he would get up and he would rush up to the glass, and especially when he had a huge group of people watching, and he would pound that glass with all of his strength and come back, and I swear to God, he'd sit back and chuckle.
All my pieces have to show some kind of story going on, and the story doesn't have an ending. You come up with your own. Just like air moose. Does the moose make it or not? A lot of people complained about my mount because it said the moose isn't frothed up The moose isn't panting. The moose isn't running, running out of steam. He's going to die from these wolves, but he doesn't look scared yet. Well, the run has just started. Everybody thinks that I had it at the finale. Look at it again. The moose is not stressed out. The moose is not panting. He's still got strength. He's going to fall, but he's going to get back up.
Storytelling is very important in taxidermy, and in museums we tell, I think, a more detailed story.
At our museum, we are known for our dioramas.
We bring you into the diorama. We try to get you right up close and personal.
Some museums have gone away from the dioramas and have actually taken down dioramas.
People are saying that they are going downhill, that it's such a techno world today. Yes, you can get on a computer and you can, look up things about whatever animal you're interested in, but it is not the real thing.
The misconceptions about taxidermists, first thing is, we hate animals. Anybody who's interested in getting involved in taxidermy already loves animals, or they wouldn't get into it. I have won over many, many PETA members because of what I do. I love animals, and I recreate that animal beautifully. If I can't recreate it beautifully, I don't want to do it. So PETA loves animals, I love animals. I don't like what they do, they don't like what I do, but we can meet on the common ground of the beauty of wildlife.
I feel a very spiritual connection to animals and wildlife when I'm outside, out in the woods, whether it be hunting or photography or whatever, just observing animals in their natural surroundings, doing what they do naturally, and I think that's why I like bow hunting. Shooting an animal with a bow and arrow, harvesting it cleanly, processing it, taking the reference materials needed for mounting it, and then actually eating it, to me is as good as you can get it. It's hard to explain if you're not a hunter how important all of these things are to a person's inner being or soul. It sounds a little hokey, I guess, but it truly is my life.
My social life is pretty much all taxidermy, except for what me and my wife do. We make sure we try to go out every other night. We go do something. If I don't have something planned, I stay here. I'm so wrapped up in this. The whole world is nothing but this. I've got to learn to get away from it. I've got to learn to get it gone. All my kids, I wouldn't teach them taxidermy. I didn't want them to get interested in it. I didn't want them to get into it at all because it's not an easy life. There are hundreds of thousands of taxidermists in this country, and all of them are unknown. You have to make yourself stand out from everyone else. So I make mounts that are rare, so I make mounts that are different, so I make mounts that are unusual, so people talk about them. There's so many taxidermists around, you get lost in the crowd. It's like a needle in a haystack. You want to be the one, when the customer starts feeling around the haystack, you want to be the pin that pokes them and say, wow, you want to be noticed. Nobody puts as big of pieces and as strange of pieces into the worlds as we do. We open ourselves up for the most criticism that you can, because we don't make a small piece that we can make absolutely perfect. We were in the competition with 9 animals on one mount. Most guys had 1 animal on one mount. So they were scored and judged by the flaws on 1 animal. I was scored and judged on the flaws on 9 animals.
Judging is a lot of work. It's very intense. It has to be done well. Usually when you walk around a room, you can see things that just automatically just pull you and draw you in. And then at that point when you're judging, then you start breaking them down. And it needs to have composition and design, and it needs to be anatomically accurate first and foremost. And if that animal grabbed you and brought you in like that initially, most of the time all those other things fall right into place.
I've been asked to judge competitions, and when I do, I give a lot of extra credit and a lot of points for artistic merit. in design and composition. I lean a little heavy that way, and some of the guys don't like it. They don't see a piece and see the art that I see in the piece, and so I try to explain to them what it's doing and why I like this piece, and I'll fight for them out like that. And that kind of rubs everybody the wrong way. I'm not the same mindset as a lot of my peers at the world shows and at the taxidermy competitions. I could really care less if it had an absolute perfect inside nostril septum rebuild. It's too technical. There's no art in it anymore. That's why I compete basically solely in the collective artists. You notice it says artists.
The collective artists' best of category life-size mammals goes to Marcus, Ken, and Winston Zimmerman from Martinsburg, PA. Those for a Toby on the
I felt real good about the World Show up until Matt Zimmerman showed up with the Goby. I looked at all the pieces. I knew where I was. I knew I'd make the semis. When he pulled up with the Goby and pulled it out of the trailer, I saw it come out of the trailer. I walked over and looked at it. Jamie was on the other side of the room. I walked over and I said, "We lost to the Goby." We're not in the least bit upset about the World Championships. We look at it this way. There was 16 pieces in our category of life-size mammals, and they only give out 3 ribbons in the subcategory, and we got 2 of the 3. There's 12 people, 13 that didn't get nothing. You can always find pros to a loss, and and that's ours. We look at that, not that we lost the chance to be first, second, or third in the world. We look at who we beat. It's not the trophy. I go for who I can beat. I beat your crew. I beat your crew. Our crew beat your crew. We didn't get the big plaque, but we beat your crew.
When I finally retire or leave this job, my guess is they probably will not fill the position again. I can only think of a few taxidermists in museums full-time in this day and age. The way museums are going, a lot of times they think they can contract taxidermy out and save themselves money. Sometimes that works, a lot of times it doesn't, just because they don't have the quality control. We have about 5,000 mounted animals here at the museum, and that's a lot of job security. I didn't think I would ever have a chance at in a job like this. It was my dream job.
So my goal in this industry, when I'm gone, is to have everyone be able to do this. Actually make something that is stop motion, but it has motion. Showing actions, showing movement, showing a story. Make it an emotional event for someone who has never ever thought of taxidermy, hunting, fishing, or the outdoors. How many times can people just walk past a mount anywhere and not even pay attention to it? I don't want anyone to walk past mine.